Your cat watches you sleep. Every single night. While you lie there vulnerable, breath slow, eyelids closed. That pair of eyes in the darkness is not resting. She is cataloguing your breathing patterns, your muscle twitches, the micro-expressions flickering across your unconscious face. And she is using that information to make decisions about you that would change how you see her forever. You probably think she is guarding you, or maybe just keeping warm, or that the soft weight settling on your chest at 3 a.m. is affection with no calculation behind it. But the truth is far stranger. The truth is that your cat has been conducting a nightly behavioral assessment of you since the day you brought her home, and what she has learned about you from those silent hours might be the most accurate portrait of your character anyone has ever drawn. If you have ever woken to find your cat staring at you from the foot of the bed, you know that moment of unease, the stillness, the unblinking focus. You tell yourself she is just waiting for breakfast, but the timeline does not match. The feeding bowl is still full. The sun has not risen. Your cat is not watching for food. She is watching for something else entirely. Here is what the research actually shows. The domestic cat retains approximately 97% of her wild ancestors' genetic material. That is not a pet. That is a small predator who has learned to coexist with a much larger one. You. And in the wild, the most dangerous moment for any predator is when its larger associate is asleep, because sleep means reduced threat detection. Sleep means the larger animal could become prey to something else. Sleep means the smaller animal must decide whether her environment is still safe. Your cat has been making that decision about you every night for years, and she has built a complete internal dossier on your reliability as a guardian based entirely on what your sleeping body reveals. Now here is what you did not see. The average cat sleeps between 12 and 16 hours per day, but those hours are not continuous. She cycles through light sleep and deep sleep and rapid eye movement in short bursts, just like you do. However, there is a critical difference. Your cat can emerge from deep sleep to full alertness in under 2 seconds. You take anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes to reach full cognitive function after waking. That gap, those 28 minutes of groggy vulnerability, is the window your cat has learned to measure. She watches how quickly you wake. She watches whether you startle or stir gently. She watches whether you reach for her immediately or ignore her. She watches whether your breathing returns to a calm rhythm or stays ragged with dreams. Every single one of those observations feeds into a single calculation. Is this human reliable as a threat detector? Can I afford to sleep deeply while they are unconscious? Think about that for a second. Your cat's entire sleep strategy depends on your performance during a period when you are not even conscious. She has staked her survival on your unconscious competence. And based on a decade of behavioral ecology data, most cats have already made their assessment. They have decided whether you are a safe sleeper or a liability, and they have adjusted their own behavior accordingly. If your cat sleeps on your chest, that is not simple warmth. She is using your breathing rhythm as a biological metronome. Your heartbeat transmits through your ribcage into her vestibular system, signaling a steady, predictable rhythm. She is literally syncing her nervous system to yours. But if your cat sleeps at the foot of the bed, facing away from you, that is not rejection. That is a different calculation. She has placed herself between you and the door. She has decided that her role in the partnership is sentinel, not dependent. If you are suddenly rethinking where your cat chooses to sleep at night, good, you should be. That unconscious assessment she has made about you is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. Subscribe so you do not miss the next layer of her hidden logic, how she tests your reliability when you are wide awake. And in the comments, tell me exactly where your cat sleeps tonight. Chest, foot of the bed, or a separate room entirely. That single detail tells me more about your relationship than a year of vet visits ever could. Here is what you probably do not know. A study conducted at the University of Lincoln tracked sleep positioning in 47 cat-owner households over 6 months. The researchers found that cats who slept within arm's reach of their owners showed lower cortisol levels upon waking than cats who slept in separate rooms. But the more surprising finding was this. The cats who slept closest also showed the most behavioral monitoring of their owners during the night. They woke more frequently. They shifted position to maintain visual contact. They were not resting deeply. They were performing light surveillance while pretending to rest. Your cat has learned that the best way to gather information about your true state is to watch you when you think no one is watching. Because when you are asleep, your guard drops. Your face relaxes into its natural lines. Your breathing reveals your stress levels. Your dreams produce micro-expressions that betray your hidden emotions. And your cat, who has spent thousands of generations evolving to read the body language of potential threats, reads all of this with surgical precision. If you have ever wondered why your cat sometimes seems distant the morning after a bad night of sleep, now you know. She saw your face contract during your nightmare. She heard your breathing change. She registered the cortisol spike that leaked into your sweat. She did not see a tired owner. She saw an unpredictable variable in her survival equation, and she adjusted her distance accordingly. The hidden behavior is not the watching itself. You already know she watches. The hidden behavior is what she does with the information. She uses your sleep data to calibrate her trust level, her territory defense strategy, and even her feeding timing. She has built a predictive model of your behavior that updates every single night, and that model determines whether she approaches you with relaxed confidence or cautious distance the next morning. A cat who has decided you are a safe sleeper will greet you with a tail-up approach, slow blinks, and a full vocalization. A cat who has detected nocturnal instability will approach laterally, with ears rotated, and may refuse to settle on your lap. She is not moody. She is responding to data you did not even know you were transmitting. Let me ask you something. Have you ever woken from a vivid dream and found your cat already staring at you, as if she knew you were about to open your eyes? She probably did. The micro-movements that precede waking, the increase in respiratory rate, the shift in muscle tone, the flutter of eyelids, are all readable to a cat who has spent months learning your specific wake signature. She is not psychic. She is just the most attentive observer of your unconscious life that you will ever have. And this is the part that changes everything. Your cat does not just use this information for her own safety. She uses it to assess your fitness as a guardian. If your sleep is restless, your cat perceives you as inadequate protection. If your sleep is calm and predictable, she perceives you as a reliable resource defender. She is not anthropomorphizing you. She is applying an ancient calculation that determines whether her offspring, or her own genetic investment in your territory, is safe. You thought you were choosing her. She has been evaluating you all along, and her nightly surveillance is the most honest performance review you will ever receive. Now here is where the forensic evidence gets even stranger. Researchers at the University of Tokyo discovered that cats can distinguish their owner's voice from a stranger's voice, even when the owner is speaking in their sleep. The cats showed different ear orientation and pupil dilation when the owner murmured versus when a recording of a stranger played. The recognition happened below the level of consciousness. The cat knew who was in the bed without seeing them, and she adjusted her alertness level accordingly. Your cat does not need to see your face to know whether you are safe. She knows your unique chemical signature, your breathing pattern, your heart rate variability. She has built a biometric profile of you that no human could replicate, and she updates it every single night, using the same ancient mechanisms her ancestors used to distinguish friend from threat in the African savanna. If your cat sleeps curled against your side, she has decided that your presence is so safe that she can expose her most vulnerable organs, her abdomen, her throat, while unconscious. That is not a compliment. That is a biological treaty. She has handed you her survival. She has calculated the odds and decided you are worth the risk. But here is the counterintuitive truth. That same deep trust is what makes your sleeping behavior so critical to her. The more she trusts you, the more vulnerable she becomes. And the more vulnerable she becomes, the more carefully she must monitor the source of her safety. Your cat is trapped in a paradox. She can only relax if she watches you constantly. That trust is not passive. It is the most active decision your cat makes every single night. If you want to continue uncovering these hidden layers of your cat's inner life, the treaty she signs with her body every time she closes her eyes beside you, subscribe so you do not miss the revelations still ahead. And before you move on, leave the word treaty in the comments. That is what she offers you every night, without a sound. You have felt this. You have woken at 3 in the morning, shifted position, and felt that warm weight readjust itself against your hip. You have opened your eyes in the dark and seen that silhouette seated on the nightstand, perfectly still, facing you. You have told yourself it was nothing, and maybe it was, but maybe it was also the most honest moment of your entire relationship. The resolution to this hidden behavior is not about changing anything. It is about seeing what is already there. Your cat has never been a passive companion in your home. She has been the active observer of your life, cataloguing your habits, your moods, your vulnerabilities. And she has done it during the hours when you believed yourself completely unwatched. If this shifted something for you, if you are now looking at that silhouette in the doorway with different eyes, write this in the comments: the exact time you first realized your cat was watching you in the dark. Because that moment is the beginning of a very different kind of understanding. The watching itself is not sinister. It is survival. It is affection expressed in a language older than words. It is the price of being loved by an animal who has not forgotten what it means to be wild. And it is happening right now, every night, while you sleep. In the next chapter, we decode the specific signals your cat sends when she has finished her nighttime assessment. The tail position, the eye shape, the vocalization pattern, all are messages from a creature who has already seen your true face. And if you learn to read them, you will never be the same guardian again. Your cat already knows who you are when no one is watching. The question is whether you are ready to know who she is when she thinks you are not. Here is the continuation of the script, building on the established themes of nocturnal surveillance and extending them into the physical territory of your home. But the nighttime assessment doesn't end with where she sleeps. It extends into the furniture you own, the objects you place around the house, and the pathways you clear through your own home without a second thought. Your cat has mapped every inch of your shared territory, and she has assigned a specific threat value to each object based on how you interact with it. Consider the simple act of walking through a doorway. You do it hundreds of times a day without conscious thought. Your cat watches every single one. She has noted which doors you close and which you leave ajar. She has catalogued the speed of your movement through each threshold. She knows that the bathroom door, when closed, means you are unavailable for a predictable duration. She knows that the front door, when it opens, introduces an unpredictable variable into her environment. She has built a temporal map of your movements. She knows that you take approximately 90 seconds to walk from the bedroom to the kitchen. She knows that the refrigerator door opening is followed by a 30-second window of potential food interaction. She knows that the sound of your keys on the counter means you will be sedentary for at least 4 hours. Your cat is not guessing. She is running a predictive algorithm based on thousands of observed repetitions of your behavior. If you have ever noticed your cat waiting for you at a specific spot in the hallway at a specific time of day, she is not being cute. She is positioned at a node in her mental map of your territory, anticipating the next variable in her environment. She is running a probability calculation. You appear at this location at this hour with an 87% probability. She has positioned herself to see you early and assess your state before you reach her. And this is the part that most owners miss. Your cat's territorial mapping is not about claiming space. It is about predicting threats. Every piece of furniture, every closed door, every window is a data point in a survival calculation that runs continuously in her brain. She is not decorating your home with her presence. She is building a threat assessment matrix of your shared environment. A study published in the Journal of Veterinary Behavior followed 32 indoor cats for 2 weeks using GPS and accelerometer collars. The cats did not roam randomly. They followed highly specific patrol circuits through the home, visiting between 7 and 11 checkpoints per circuit. These checkpoints included high vantage points like the top of a bookshelf, covered hiding spots like under the bed, and observation posts near doors and windows. The circuits were repeated at regular intervals, suggesting a deliberate monitoring schedule rather than aimless wandering. Your cat's patrol route is her way of keeping her threat map current. She checks the window to confirm the outside is still predictable. She checks under the bed to ensure no new threat has materialized. She checks you, your position, your posture, your activity level, to verify that the largest variable in her environment has not changed. And if you have moved a chair or left a bag in a new location, she will note it, investigate it, and recalculate. The hidden behavior is not just the watching. It is the systemization of that watching into a daily ritual. Your cat is not a pet passing through your home. She is a security analyst conducting a continuous audit of every variable that affects her survival, and you are the primary variable she tracks. If you have ever felt slightly unsettled by the way your cat seems to appear at your feet when you turn around, that is not coincidence. She has placed herself in your blind spot intentionally. Predators in the wild learn to move through the visual field of larger animals by staying just outside the cone of focused vision. Your cat has identified the one spot in every room where you cannot see her easily, and she uses that spot to observe you without your awareness. This is not malice. It is the same behavioral adaptation that allows a wild cat to approach prey without being detected. The difference is that her prey is now the refrigerator opening, and her observation target is the human who controls the food. She has simply redirected 1,000,000 years of stalking instinct toward the most predictable source of resources in her environment: you. But here is the deeper layer. Your cat is not just mapping your home. She is mapping your emotional state across that home. She has learned that you are most relaxed in the living room around 7 in the evening. She has learned that you are most agitated in the kitchen during the morning rush. She has learned that the home office chair means you are unavailable for extended periods. She has assigned an emotional value to each location in the territory, based entirely on your observable behavior at those locations, and she uses that map to decide where to be and when. She appears in the living room when you are calm, because that is a time of low threat. She avoids the kitchen during your morning agitation. She stays near the home office door when you are seated, because your unavailability indicates a predictable environment. She is not responding to your mood. She is responding to the location-based pattern of your mood that she has recorded over months of observation. That is the kind of silent intelligence most owners never detect, a secret map of your emotional geography drawn entirely in feline terms. If you want to keep uncovering these hidden layers beneath the ordinary moments you share with your cat, subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. And in the comments, tell me, what room in your home does your cat appear in most reliably when you are at your most relaxed? A cat who approaches you in the kitchen at 6 in the morning is not hungry. She is verifying that her location-based prediction holds true. She is checking to see if your kitchen behavior at dawn matches the pattern she has recorded. And when you reach for the food bowl exactly as she predicted, her brain registers confirmation. The territory is still predictable, the larger animal is still reliable, the risk of the environment has not changed. Your cat's trust is not about affection, it is about prediction accuracy. Every time you behave exactly as she expected, her confidence in you as a safe guardian increases. Every time you deviate from the pattern, arriving home late, changing your routine, moving furniture, her confidence erodes slightly, and she recalibrates her entire security strategy to account for the new data. This is why your cat seems anxious when you change the furniture layout or travel for 3 days. She does not miss you in the emotional sense you assume. She has lost her reliable variable. Her threat map has a hole where your predictable behavior used to be. And until she can rebuild that pattern by observing you again over several days, she operates at a higher baseline alertness. If you have ever returned from a trip and found your cat acting distant or avoiding you, that is not punishment for leaving. That is the natural consequence of her predictive model failing. You were a reliable variable. Then you vanished. Now you have returned, but she must relearn your pattern from scratch. She is not angry. She is recalculating. And this brings us to the most unsettling layer of the hidden behavior. Your cat does not just track your movements and moods. She tracks your absence itself. She has observed that certain behaviors of yours, putting on shoes, grabbing keys, wearing a coat, precede your disappearance for a predictable duration. She has built a causal chain of events that predicts your departure. And when you perform the first behavior in that chain, she begins a separate set of preparations. Many owners report that their cat hides or becomes clingy right before they leave for work. This is not the cat having a bad day. This is the cat responding to a predictive chain that she has observed hundreds of times. She knows the key sound means you will be gone for approximately 8 hours. She has calculated that her security level drops during your absence, and she adjusts her behavior accordingly. She may eat more food before you leave, because she has learned that food is less accessible during your absence. She may sleep in a more defensive position. She may avoid windows during the hours when you are gone. Your cat is not living in your home. She is living in a predictive model of your home built from thousands of observations, updated in real time, and calibrated to maximize her safety within your territory. Every interaction you have with her is filtered through this model. Every behavior you observe is the output of a continuous security calculus that operates below the level of consciousness. The final piece of evidence comes from a comparative study of sleep behavior between cats in single-owner homes and multi-owner homes. Cats in multi-owner homes showed lower baseline cortisol and longer sleep duration. The researchers concluded that multiple predictable variables created a more stable predictive environment for the cat. The cat did not trust one human more. She had more data points, more verification opportunities, and a more robust predictive model. She felt safer because the environment was more redundant, not because she was more loved. Your cat's trust is not a feeling. It is a statistical inference drawn from the frequency and consistency of your behavior. And she has been collecting that data since the moment you met her, using every sense at her disposal, during every waking and sleeping moment of her life.